Hello and welcome to another video in this series all about the new effect system for Fantasy Grounds VTT. And in this one we're going to be looking at resistances, vulnerabilities, etc. Quite a lot to get through in this one, so let's get started. We need to get our character up. We've already got a little power group going. We're going to right click, add action and add effect. And the first effect we're going to look at is the immune tag. So all caps as ever, ending in a colon, and then we need to specify a type of damage that this character is going to be immune to. So let's give it immunity to fire, and we'll put the targeting to self, and we'll apply the effect to Vari. So this means that any fire damage that Vari takes, she's going to be immune to, and no damage will be taken. Sneakily, we have edited this goblin minion so that it does some fire damage. So when we apply the fire damage to Vari, rolled a 4, but no damage got through because Vari has resisted the fire damage. So immune on its own will essentially, or if you put immune all in there instead of fire, then it's going to be immune to all damage. But if you specify a damage type, then it's going to be immune to that type. We can also add in multiples into here. So if we were to put this to immune fire piercing, then it doesn't matter what kind of damage that the goblin minion does, the damage is going to be resisted and no damage is going to get through. Now we can also have immunity to conditions. So if Vari was going to be immune to being charmed, then when we put this effect on to Vari, and then if we try to make her charmed, it says target is immune and the effect doesn't apply. So you can be immune to a damage type, or you can be immune to a condition, or both. You can chain a number of different things here. So that's immunity. So let's move on then and look at resist. And this is pretty much the same idea. Resist, all caps, ending in a colon, and we need to specify a damage type as well. So let's swap these out, and if we have our goblin minion do some fire damage, then this time we've rolled a 4, the damage has been halved, 2 damage has got through because resistance halves the damage that is being done. Again, if we specify all here, then all of the damage types are resisted, or you can chain different damage types together. So we could have fire piercing, for example. Right, that's resistances, and now let's go to vulnerability. So that is VULN, ending in a colon as ever. Right, ending in a colon, and we'll just leave it at fire. So if we swap this around, and now we are now vulnerable to fire damage. So if our goblin minion does some fire damage to Vari, we're going to take double the amount of damage that we would normally have done. So it's rolled a 3, but 6 points of damage has gotten through, and we've taken 6 points of damage because we've got vulnerability to fire. Again, if you say all to this, then it's all damage is vulnerable to, and you can chain different damage types together. Then you can also be vulnerable to a specific amount of damage. So if we take, for example, VULN 3, and then put a comma in there and then fire, when we apply this here now, and we take some damage, let's add another dice. So we've rolled a 5, but because we're vulnerable 3, then another 3 points of damage has been added instead of just doubling it. We can also have this number with resist. I should have mentioned that. So just to illustrate that, if we go to resist 3 fire and apply that, then when we take some fire damage, then we've rolled a 4, and instead of halving the damage, it has reduced the damage done by the 3 that was specified in the modifier. So these 3 have been around since the beginning of time. So let's move on to a new effect now that we have with the latest patch, and that is absorb. Absorb, again ending with a colon, and what this is going to do is it's going to convert any damage taken of the type we specify into healing. So if we have absorb fire, we change this effect out, and now when our goblin does fire damage to Vary, the dice roll of 4 has been converted to healing. So Vary has healed for 4 points of damage rather than taking any damage from that particular attack. Now we can specify a number here, which can be positive. Sorry, it can be a decimal or a whole number. So if we let's say absorb 2 fire, and we apply that, and we now take some fire damage, then twice the damage that was rolled. So we rolled a 5, 10 has been or the 5 has been multiplied by the 2 that we specified in the tag here, and so 10 points of damage has been healed. This can also be a fraction or a decimal fraction. So if we make this 0.5 fire, if we apply this now and we roll some more damage to Vary, then half of the healing or half of the damage that was dealt has been converted to a heal. So we rolled a 4, but 2 points of that was converted into heal, but we still took no damage because we're absorbing fire. So, but we've healed half the damage that we've taken. Okay, let's move on to the next tag then, which is ignore. So this is the first part of the effect tag. We need to tell Fantasy Grounds what we want to ignore, because what we're doing here is we're going to ignore a resistance or a vulnerability or an immunity. So let's start with ignore resist. We must end in a colon, and we need to tell Fantasy Grounds what damage type we're going to ignore. So in this case, let's make it piercing. Now, before we apply this effect, we've made this goblin resistant to piercing damage. So when we do some piercing damage with our longbow here, then you can see that it's partially resisted. We rolled 14, only 7 points of damage went through. So if we now apply this effect and then do some more piercing damage, we can see that all of the damage went through. We rolled an 18 and 18 points of damage went through, because we've told Fantasy Grounds that this attack should ignore, or the target of this attack should ignore any resistance to piercing damage that it might have. We can also ignore immunities. So ignore immune. Our goblin is immune to bludgeoning damage. So let's remove this effect. Let's just do some bludgeoning damage to our goblin minion. We can see that no damage got through. We rolled a 7, but nothing got through because it's resisted. If we now apply our effect and do some more bludgeoning damage, then that immunity has been ignored, and the 15 points of damage that we rolled on the dice has gotten through. So ignore must be followed by resistance or immunity, and it can also be ignore absorption. So to demonstrate that, let's get rid of this effect. Let's do absorb radiant. And if we were to go into our effects here, we've got an absorb radiant. So let's make the goblin absorb radiant damage. And if just to illustrate that, if we do some radiant damage to it, we can see that the damage that we dealt has been converted to a heal. But if we now apply this effect and do some radiant damage again, then the absorption is being ignored and all the radiant damage that we rolled has gone through. Now we can also make things resistant, vulnerable, or absorb. So if we type in make, and then we need to add to this what we want to do. So if we want to make resist, and let's say what do we, well, we've got this already done. Right, we've got it resistant to piercing damage, and it's immune to bludgeoning damage. So let's make it resist radiant damage, because we know Vari can do radiant damage. So if we do this, make resist radiant, if we take this absorb off here, if we do some radiant damage to this goblin, then all the damage that we rolled is getting through. But if we now apply this effect has to go on the attacker, by the way. So we're making this goblin resistant, or we're making the attack that we're going to do resistant. And so if Vari now does some radiant damage to this goblin minion, then it has resisted the damage that we dealt. We only dealt a point of damage, but it's resisted it nevertheless. Let's just do a bit more, just so that we can demonstrate that a bit better. We'll roll 2d8. So we've rolled a 14, and the goblin has resisted it. So we can make something resist. We can also make something immune. So if we change the resist there to immune, and we're making this goblin now immune to radiant damage. If we swap out the effect, and now if we do radiant damage to our goblin here, it's resisted all of it. And we can also make it absorb. So if we make absorb, I think we need an S in there, and swap these effects out. And now when we do radiant damage to our goblin minion, it's converted the damage that we dealt to healing. So make will make your target either resistant, immune, or it can absorb the damage that you're dealing. Finally, there's the 2 tag. So 2 on its own doesn't do very much. So what this does is it converts one type of resistance or vulnerability to something else. So if we type in resist to immune, then what this is going to do is to convert any resistance to an immunity. So our goblin here is resistant to piercing damage. So if we type in piercing, before we apply that, let's do some piercing damage to our goblin. We can see that it's partially resisted. We rolled 16, 8 points of damage has been dealt. If we put in our effect now, and then do some piercing damage to the goblin. We see that the goblin has taken no damage at all because the resistance has been converted into an immunity. We rolled 15 here, but no damage has been dealt. One more example here, we could do a vulnerability, for example, to resistance. So let's do vuln to resist, and let's change this to psychic. I think it's psychic damage. What does vicious mockery do? Yes, it does psychic damage. So let's get rid of this. Our goblin minion is vulnerable to psychic damage. So when we do psychic damage normally, it's doubled up the damage. We've rolled a 4, it's taken 8. Now let's apply our effect here and do some more psychic damage, and now the goblin has partially resisted the damage. We've rolled a 6, but only 3 points of damage have been dealt because we've changed that vulnerability to resistance. So the two keyword or the two tag needs to take a vulnerability or a resistance or immunity and change it to something else. So vulnerability to resistance or something like resistance to vulnerability. So that's what the 2 does. It basically changes one of the resistances to something else. Okay, I think that's the enough for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers for now.